Hello everyone, I have an escalation match on the map Reclaimed. I've been playing escalation a lot more lately and I gotta say it's a heck of a lot of fun, but the game type tends to take a lot longer to finish than other ones, but I needed a longer gameplay for this video anyway to cover the topic that you're seeing in the title. So if you read the title, I'll be talking about the state of microtransactions in Gears 4 as well as how I feel about the Season's Pass right now. I'm going to just provide some other general thoughts near the end of the video too. So the UIR pack, I always struggle to pronounce that, dropped just the other day, and I'm sure you know that they're highly contentious in the Gears of War community right now, rightly so given the pricing points. And up to this point, I haven't really talked too much about the Gears packs because I don't really care for microtransactions, with the exception of map packs, if that even counts. And that's just because I've always been a very gameplay focused person. The customization stuff offered through the Gears packs doesn't affect the gameplay, so I tend to care very little about the packs. I literally have 65,000 Gears credits saved up, and I don't intend to spend them anytime soon. I really wish I could just donate to those credits to all of you, to be honest. With that said, I'm well aware that there are many Gears heads who, the customization packs are a big part of the game for them, and there's nothing wrong with that. The new content keeps people excited and engaged, which is great for for growing the community. The problem, however, is that the Gears packs and microtransactions are not being executed properly, and the UIR packs brought this back to light, I think, which is why a lot of people are up in flames, and were up in flames over the past few days. But there were also microtransaction issues before, and I'm willing to guess there will be issues again, which is why I want to talk about this in the Gears packs. Basically, I want to advocate for Gears heads here who do care about the customization packs, so I'm going to express what I think their concerns would be, possible solutions that can help get the coalition back on track, and I think everyone should keep in mind that even if you don't care about the microtransactions in Gears, how they're received and how they perform directly affects the state of the whole Gears community, and that's why I think it's worth talking about. So let's get right into it. The UIR packs dropped for a 24-hour period yesterday, I believe, and they cost 4,400 credits or upwards of 10 Canadian dollars or whatever currency that converts to, depending on what country you're in. That translates to a lot of playtime if you want to earn it based on credits, and actually quite a lot of money if you choose to just spend the real currency. In terms of credits, I would say that you could roughly make enough credits to buy a maximum of maybe like 4 packs if you grinded for them really, really hard in one day, and that's assuming you started at 0 credits. Simply put, I don't think players are feeling like the return on investment for credits earned based on the time they play is fair. Nor do I think they should feel that it is fair. As many of you know, I play a lot of games, and Halo is one of them, and I think they have a significantly better pack system than we do. In Halo, if you play for roughly, let's say, 4 to 6 games, which takes about 2 hours or so, you will have earned enough credits to get their rarest pack, which is the gold pack. That to me seems like a fair deal, and I always felt like I was earning what I deserved when I played Halo. But with Gears, it feels like you're scrounging for scraps and really not getting your time's worth, even if you use bounties. I think the simple solution here is to either reduce the cost of packs altogether across the board, or increase the rate at which players earn credits. And I think the reduction in cost or increase in credits should be reflected so that players can earn the Top Gears Elite Pack, which is 3,500 credits, in no more than 2.5 hours of game time. I think that would be reasonable, and it wouldn't leave players feeling like they are earning peanuts, because with the way it is right now in Gears, I really do think that you have to sink in a significant amount of time to be getting credits. But I will say, the Gear system has also innovated in some other ways. I think the Gears scrapping system is really cool, and I like the addition of that, but I do think as it stands, the rate at which you earn credits or the cost of the packs is just not proportional, or it's grossly disproportionate to the time you're playing the game, and that's something that needs to be addressed. In regards to actual currency, I think it's pretty clear that the packs are overpriced for what you're getting, so much so that I would expect players to just boycott the packs altogether, although there always seems to be a bunch of players willing to cough up the price regardless, which kind of sucks. I always thought, though, that it's kind of ironic to think that I would be so unwilling and against buying these Gears packs when I'm such a strong supporter of the franchise. It's funny because I would be very willing to purchase microtransactions just to support the game or the competitive community, but I won't follow through with this if I think I'm getting completely ripped off by the packs, for lack of better words, which is clearly how I feel based on the fact that I haven't purchased any packs. So just funny to me to think that somebody who would be so willing to cough up some extra money, because I really do just enjoy the franchise and the series as a whole, would be so unwilling to, just because they think the price is so unfair. So let's just think about this for a sec. If you want a UIR pack in Canada, it's going to cost you more than $10 just for one pack. $7 if you want an elite pack. This to me doesn't seem like much of a micro transaction. I joke all the time now calling these macro transactions because they cost so damn much. If you buy 2 UIR packs, you've basically spent 1/3 of what it would cost you to get a standard edition of this game. That's a heck of a lot of money. In regards to their esports weapon skins, I think if you want one skin of your team's choice, let's say the Optic Green Lancer skin, pretty sure it costs you $10. Correct me if I'm wrong. Once again, that's Canadian pricing. And once again, I think that the Coalition is just asking for too much money for what you're getting here. And this isn't something that's kind of new at this point of the game. We've seen this happen before. The Run the Jewels pack, I think, was roughly 20 to 25 Canadian dollars for a couple of exclusive skins, and I think maybe some other customization items. Which, by the way, the exclusive skins just recycled armor from previous skins, one of them being the Commando Dom armor. And knowing that it costs so much money and uses recycled skins, if we're being quite honest, I'd almost be embarrassed to rock the skins. You'd just be showing people that you paid that much money, and we all know based on the aesthetics that the skin is recycled. So I think that a $20 pack is just too much money, especially for content that isn't purely original. And this happened quite some time ago, and I think it's information that the Coalition could have drew on in kind of deciding how they were going to go with some of these packs in the future. And I really do hope they consider once new content is introduced, you know, how the Run the Jewels pack kind of played out and was received, because I really do think it's cool to introduce new content and whatnot, but you know, it almost comes off as lazy to use recycled armored skin from characters, or to charge that much. It just doesn't seem like people are getting a fair bang for their buck there. I also think that charging about $7 Canadian in order to own each individual map is asking too much. I want you to recall in Gears 2 and Gears 3, they had a lot of downloadable content, obviously. I want you to think about the map packs. I remember you could get a set of maps for about roughly $10, which was a fair and fun deal in my opinion. And just to give a concrete example, for instance, in Gears 2, I think you could get the Snowblind map pack, which I think came with 4 maps, and it cost 800 Microsoft points, which equated to $10. And if you do the math for Gears 4, it would cost you over $20 to own 4 of the maps, and that's double what we would have paid in previous Gears title. Is inflation this bad, people? Maybe the economy is going to shit, but I think what's really going on here is that the Coalition is not really sure how to go about pricing in relation to the quantity and quality of their microtransactions. But you know, they even have history to look back on to kind of see what might be fair or reasonable, and that's just another example of how there's microtransaction problems seeping into even the map packs, which I know people probably aren't paying too much, because the Coalition has introduced what I think is actually a pretty good map rotation cycle system. But for those players who do want to own those maps for themselves, I do think that even pricing at $6.49, which is what they charge Canadian, is just too much to ask for. And I'm sure it might be reduced in price if you combined all the maps and just got a season's pass, but that to me is still not an acceptable individual pricing point to be offering people for the maps. So here's what I think needs to happen. I think the Coalition needs to do some comparison shopping. Look at what other games like Halo or Counter-Strike are doing, for instance, with their microtransactions. You can learn from their mistakes and their successes. I think the Coalition can also look at the previous content they released in previous Gears titles, like I was just talking about, and try to kind of compare the content you have now. And that's not to say that all the Gears 4 content is bad, but just try to deliver content that you would say is on par with the price, quantity, and quality of what we probably would have expected in Gears 3 or previous Gears titles. And I know the Coalition is capable of doing that. The Coalition also has a Gears of War feedback program, which I think is awesome, by the way. And it's times like this where you should be tapping into that program in order to get fan feedback and maybe find some other creative problem-solving ideas from the fans themselves. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe the Coalition did have a feedback program in regards to the Gears of War map, or the pack, sorry, and how fast you can earn credits. So if this is true, it's time to really put that information into practice, because it's one thing to just have a program and it's another to actually implement the ideas that come through from that program. So that's obviously an important distinction and something that I hope the coalition is doing. I also think that they need to consider the simple economic idea that when you reduce the price of something, you can expect an increase in sales. And this is especially true, I think, for microtransactions. So I'm calling out my economists out there who watch this channel. I think a couple of you said you took economics. That's actually not my area of study. So I'm asking, what's this simple concept called? I completely forget. Feels pretty silly about that, but yeah, I think adjusting the price and expecting more packs to be purchased is something that they should consider, because quite honestly, they might be able to make more of a profit if the price is right, because people like me might actually be willing to buy the packs every now and then if they think the price is correct. So it's not necessarily detrimental to their sales and profit, I think, if they reduce the price. If anything, it could be mutually beneficial in the sense that they could make more money and people would actually feel like they're getting a bang for their buck, and they'd keep fans happy. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know how things work from the developer's end, but from the consumer's point of view, something needs to be done along the lines of what I just mentioned, I think, because it's blatantly obvious that the Gears packs are overly expensive, and if they continue the way they have been going on for, I think the coalition is going to damage their reputation and alienate fans who have had a strong sense of attachment to the Gears pack system or micro transactions in general. So I'm calling it here, folks. I bet when we see the return of legacy characters, which I think they did announce this is going to happen, they're going to have a super high credit and real currency price attached, like we saw in this case, and I think people are just going to lose it again. So I really hope the coalition considers and adjusts their approach to Gears and microtransactions before this possible hypothetical happens. Because I think right now Gears is still in a recovery phase, and I don't think the coalition can afford to be making the same types of mistakes over again when we've seen this. Now, I don't want to be too harsh on the coalition, because I know this just dropped 2.5 months ago, but you know, I think it's pretty obvious that we need a speedy response to the way the Gears packs are being handled, and the UIR pack has made it very evident, which is obviously what motivated me to kind of put this commentary together. Now I want to talk about the Seasons Pass, because I do have a couple issues in relation to it that I would like to see solved sooner versus later. So I purchased the Seasons Pass, as I'm sure many Gears fans did, and it cost me about $60 Canadian. And I think the bulk of the pass is that you got early access to the game, ownership of the maps, access to the developers playlist, and some Gears packs to boot. I think early access to the game was pretty cool, but as of right now, I can safely say that I do not think the Seasons Pass is worth the money that I paid. If I didn't have the pass, there would be virtually no difference in how I experience the game, which kind of sucks, because I think there's a lot of cool things that can be done with the pass. And I hope that we actually do see some cool additions going forward with the Seasons Pass, because it's not like it's game over as of right now and it's unchangeable. So I'm going to run through some of the major gripes that I have with the pass, as well as what I would like to see changed, because once again, I really don't think complaining about something is worth it if you don't provide any sort of substantive feedback. Constructive criticism is key, people, so I'll just go through some of the things that I want to see changed in regard to this aspect of the game. The first thing I want to talk about is the ownership of the maps. That, I think, is the bulk of what you're paying for with the Seasons Pass. Anyway, right now, with the maps, with the way the maps rotate out of the public playlist, when we get new maps, I feel like ownerships of maps for private use is pointless. Perhaps there are Horde players who might really value having private ownership for Horde mode, but I'm willing to guess that a lot of players feel like they're in the same boat as me when I say this. I don't host private matches very often that are filled with people who would play the maps that were removed from the map rotation cycle, those maps being Gridlock and Relic right now. It would just be too painstaking for your average player to coordinate that kind of a private match just to play PvP on those maps, when you can just easily find matches online through the public servers. The point I'm trying to make here is that I don't feel that ownerships of the maps really does anything for PvP players like myself, in conjunction with the new map rotation system that the Coalition has. In response to this, what I would say is that I would like to see a public playlist that is accessible for players who purchased all the maps or the season's pass. Just one mixed playlist I think would be fine. There should be some way for those who own content to play it publicly, I think. The map rotation system the Coalition introduced is great, and it introduces new content for all players free of charge, which once again, I cannot stress enough, that is fantastic. But the trade-off is that we're seeing some maps phased out from the cycle, and just having one public playlist that allows season pass holders or map owners to play the maps that were phased out, but they nonetheless purchased, would make ownership of those maps feel so much more valuable to me, because right now I'm probably not going to be playing Gridlock or Relic for a very long time, and as we get more maps, there's going to be more maps that you're just not going to be playing by virtue of them not being in the public playlist. So it would do Seasons Pass and map owners a huge service, I think, if you just included one playlist, which will not overshadow the system that we have where, you know, players are free to play on map rotation, just for players who want to go back and have a bit of a flashback experience, so to speak, with those old maps. The second thing I want to talk about is the developer playlist. This was the most attractive aspect of the Season's Pass for me. I think there are a lot of cool things you can do with this, but as it stands, it's being underutilized right now, and I want to see some changes. So far, I think the developer playlist has only given Seasons Pass holders early access to content, but only for specific modes in a social setting. When I heard about the developer playlist, I was expecting a lot more of unique experimental type stuff, whether it be adjustments to weapons or game types or new game types altogether. Just stuff that the Coalition wanted to test and get feedback on. If you remember from Gears 3, there was a playlist called the Zeta playlist, which playtested what Gears 3 would be like without stopping power and I think active reloads. It was a pretty cool experiment, and that's more or less the type of approach I was expecting with the developer playlist. But right now, it's basically just an early access playlist that has quite a lot of bots when you enter into it, from my experience at least, and it's failing to keep my attention. Simply put, I would just like to see the Coalition use the playlist in more unique ways, and maybe have the playlist go bi-weekly instead of just when new content rolls around every month. So, for example, let us try on that playlist what it might be like to play Team Deathmatch with competitive weapon tunings, or what maps might be like with different weapon spawns. Especially if you toy around with what it might be like to swap a heavy weapon for something like a sniper or a torque bow. I bet if they did that, the maps would play really different, and that would be really cool to experiment with. Basically what I'm saying is use the playlist to experiment and give the Seasons Pass holders the exclusive benefit of being a part of those experiments. I think that would make the Seasons Pass much more attractive for prospective buyers or people who already have it. And the last thing I will say about the Seasons Pass is just to treat Seasons Pass holders like they are special. This point is a little hard to explain, but if you've ever been to Wonderland or something and you had a Seasons Pass, you'd sometimes be entitled to discounts on items, or you'd get early access in line. You were just treated kind of special, you know? I saw in the forums that somebody had suggested that Seasons Pass holders should be entitled to, say, 50% off discounts on new packs when they come out. I'll bet you a lot of Seasons Pass holders would really appreciate that type of treatment, especially considering they spent $60 on the Seasons Pass. This would also be great because as it stands, there's so much new content being introduced to the game that wasn't a part of the Seasons Pass, and I already talked about this type of content, whether it be the UIR packs or Run the Jewels. And it basically makes me feel like, as a Seasons Pass owner, that my purchase was pointless, and they just kind of forgot about me in the midst of all this new content they're releasing. So even just saying, you know, hey Seasons Pass holders, here is a discount on the new DLC we're offering, and here's an exclusive promotion for you. So that's what I have to say about the Seasons Pass. So I just want to finish this commentary by providing a couple concluding comments. I really do think that Gears of War has always been, to a large extent, the game that people love to hate. People tend to be very highly critical of it, I find, in comparison to some of the other games that I've played and have been a part of. But I gotta say, in this video, despite the criticism that I've given, that was only to two aspects of the game, really, and that was the microtransactions and the Seasons Pass, which are both secondary to, in my opinion, to what I truly care about, which is the gameplay of Gears of War. And I think Gears of War 4, as I've said in previous videos, really got the gameplay right, and it's a good reintroduction to basically what's the revitalization of the Gears of War series, because, like I said before as well, this game is, you know, trying to regrow. Obviously, Gears went through a pretty bad phase prior to Gears 4, but I think it's on track to perform well. So there are tons of areas to improve, and that's why I'm providing feedback on these areas, which, you know, is a big portion of the game to some players. But at the end of the day, I do think that, you know, this has been a good entry so far, and the coalition has done a lot of work. So I just wanted to include this little bit because I did see a lot of people just going up in flames over this and kind of going overboard, you know, saying they're going to quit the game and stuff on the forums. And dude, if you're on the forums and you're posting, I don't think you're going to quit the game, you know, so just kind of white lies or blank lies. So if you do have any comments in regards to what I talked about, I'd be happy to read them. All I ask is that you be constructive and, you know, try not to swear too much in the comments and provide your feedback in a constructive way. I think that's the best way to get a strong message across. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed the gameplay as well, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and praying that the coalition will make some adjustments soon. Thanks for watching.